Hello again. Welcome to Matt Talks Geek and Makes Bad Ort. I know I said that I was going to wait another week or two for the complete series of Loki to end before I revisited Loki, but oh my goodness, I since I last made a video, since I last recorded, we've seen episode 4, which I know that some people regarded as boring or whatnot. I've read some non-flattering reviews. And then we've seen episode 5, which, oh my god. So here I am, just going to do a quick little doodle here. Obviously, you can already see what it is I'm working on. No surprise there. So let's start getting the ink work down, and I'll get the color in this, and I'll talk geek. And welcome back to Matt Talks Geek and Makes Bad Ort, episode 7, Loki Revisited. Okay, so let's recap here. I did episodes 1 through 3, which of course we know we end up at the end finding out that everybody is a variant, yada yada, blah blah blah. All right, none of that matters at this point, because these two are pretty much, doomed to die on their, on that planet. So we start episode 5 looking into Sylvie's past, which we knew we would. And it's kind of heart-wrenching, really. You see this little girl, she's just playing with her dolls, albeit dolls of things that exist. There's some fan theories that are floating around about that. I'm not even going to go into all that. I do know, and again, whoever made this hair color palette thing, thank you. If you haven't seen my thanks on another video yet, trust me, it is appreciated. Anyway, so having said that, this is so now we're on the planet, and I'm sorry, I backtrack. All right, so we see Sylvie playing, and all of a sudden, like without any warning, TVA agents just show up. Specifically, Renslayer, who has been, quite the topic of discussion, considering her roots in the comics and her obvious connection to certain people who are going to be making appearances in upcoming films. So she takes her to, and which is interesting because we see that Rinslayer wasn't always a judge. She started out as a Minuteman, and now we see that she's taken Sylvie in front of this judge, and it's like, I guess she didn't take her seriously because she was a child. So, it's kind of interesting because that's why we obviously take all Lokis pretty seriously at this point, because that child outsmarted her pretty quickly, stole her temp pad, and it's quite presumed she was on the run from that point. So, couldn't have had much of a childhood. It's really kind of sad when you think about it. So she's just been running ever since. Running from the TVA, who wrecked her life for some unknown reason. And then we cut to them on the actual planet. Loki and Sylvie are having a moment, which throws up this ginormous, absolutely ginormous branch in the timeline, and it's like going straight up. I mean, if ever there was a point for Owen Wilson's Mobius to use his catchphrase, wow, that would have been it. He didn't, sadly. So they find them where they're at, and they go pick them up. Now, at that point, Loki and Sylvie are separated. Loki actually is showing some interesting emotions that he's never really shown before, and even Owen Wilson's character can't help but pick up on that. That, of all the people, Loki has betrayed everyone he has ever been close to, everyone who thought that, oh no, Loki and I are close, Loki and I are family. He loves me. Loki has betrayed everybody that he's ever loved. But Sylvie, he seems to have a genuine concern for. And even Owen Wilson's Mobius couldn't help but point out that, good God, man, you fell in love with yourself. And maybe it's not love so much that he's fallen for, because there's a lot to unpack in these two episodes. Loki realizes, he's not been the best person in the world. And he realizes that he could change, except that he can't. And that's something that they really unpack in the next episode, episode 5, which I thought was extremely well done. So a lot of people talk crap about episode 4. It slowed down the pace. We just got some, they wanted to show us Sif and this and that. And it's like, no, that was a very important episode because you had to get those points across. You had to, you absolutely had to show that character development, not of Sylvie, because Sylvie has already had years of character development that we didn't get to see. It was done off screen. And it's obviously made her a much different Loki than any other Loki we've ever seen to this point. Even Loki in Ragnarok, who was willing to, not Ragnarok, I'm sorry. Well, Loki in Ragnarok was also different. But Loki in Endgame, who tried to dupe Thanos and stab him and gave his life in doing so. The Loki that Thor legitimately wept over as, he was dead. But even so, Sylvie's still different from all of that. And finally, through a lot of, so at this point, I'm sorry, I kind of keep jumping. It was such a really good episode. So it gets to a point in the episode, we already know that there was that Hunter B40 or B42 or 22, I don't know, the girl that was having the margaritas at the beginning of part 3. Rinslayer's like, no, she's dead. We have to terminate her because she went all crazy. And Owen Wilson's just like, I don't understand. She seemed fine when I spoke to her. Terrible Owen Wilson impersonation. Don't congratulate me on it. You'll only encourage my bad impersonations. Anyway, so it's interesting because, like, the seeds of distrust get sown pretty quickly, and it's really all Renslayer's fault. Everything Loki is saying, everything that Loki is saying, Owen Wilson, Mobius doesn't really want to believe, but it's Renslayer's actions and attitudes that make him question his own reality and start making him wonder, is Loki telling the truth here? What would Loki really have to gain by telling me the lies that he's told me? Because let's be honest, Loki is a liar and a manipulator, but what would he have to gain by lying to Mobius about it? I mean, it's not like he's going to save his own skin here. So, with that in mind, he decides to betray Rinslayer, and I thought, well, okay, wow, this is interesting. So these two have been obviously established as like longtime friends. It's not because they're seen always having drinks, chatting it up, talking about the good old days. But just out of the blue, he's like, no, I'm going to steal my old friend and technically boss's tempad. And in doing so, he is able to see a recording of the Hunter, basically saying exactly what Loki was saying. That they're all variants. It's like, why wouldn't Renslayer mention that unless she just wanted to shut her up? So you kind of wonder, how much does Renslayer really know? Does Renslayer know they're all variants? Um, or does she just believe that that would be a very dangerous idea to peddle? Um, and so she shut her up. It really does kind of make you wonder there. So with that in mind, it's, I don't know. I'm really not sure where we're going with her, because in the same episode, I'll get to it in the same episode, but it's just, I don't really know her motivations. I know that she has connections to Kang in the comic book, um, and we all know Kang is all about time travel. We all know Kang is going to be the big bad in Quantum Mania. We all know that he's probably getting set up to be the big bad in, this phase going forward for the next big what do you call it, phase. But what we don't know is Renslayer going to be a part of that, or is this all a big red herring? After all, the MCU has been known to take bits and pieces from the comic universe of 616, as well as the Ultimate Universe, but at the same time um, keeping its own twist. I mean, and I'm not one who's big on new twists, but even I couldn't help but love it in SpiderMan Homecoming when um, it was Liz Allen. Liz Allen's dad turned out to be Adrian Toomes. I was like, holy crap, that is so not comic, and yet I loved it. They did it right. Um, at the same time, though, a lot of stuff is kept, very much the same, if not as close to the source material as possible. So, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I know at the end of the episode they get through the golden, because the other hunter, the one that really hated Loki, real tough girl. She saw a vision of one of her old memories um, when Sylvie touched her, and so she wanted to know what was going on. And Sylvie tells her. She tells her exactly what's going on, and it starts making her doubt. Finally, she ends up turning on the TVA, and helps Sylvie escape. Owen Wilson ends up turning on the TVA, helping Loki escape. And I gotta say, it was such a heart wrenching scene when earlier in the show, um, Rinslayer was asking Owen Wilson where he would go if he could go anywhere in time, anywhere on the timeline. He could go. Where would he go? And he didn't really have an answer. I mean, he gave this like bullcrap answer. Oh, I'd be here with you. Yeah, Oh man, we're partners. Oh. Later, after the betrayal and all that, and they know that he stole the Tempad. All of a sudden, it's a different answer. He tells her that he would love to go wherever it was he was from before the TVA came along and ruined him. And maybe he had a jet ski. And it's like, which is actually the first thing I thought, when I heard the line, they were all variants. Oh my God, that's why he loves jet skis so much. He had a jet ski. He's probably some guy that, lived in some, lakefront property, beachfront property, and probably loved his jet ski. And then they prune him. And it's like, oh man, why? Why you prune him? So it's like he's gone. And then right before the end of the episode, after we get in to the chamber, where the timekeepers are, and it's like they're robots. absolute robots. So here we are, another clue. It's like, oh God, this is just it's screaming Kang, and we know he's coming. And then, but is he coming in a Disney Plus series? Are they really going to do that? And it's like, why not? This isn't like the ABC shows, where they had to be loosely connected, and then they ended up not being connected at all. This is all legit. I mean, it's huge reveals anyway. I mean, for God's sakes, they turned Sam Wilson into Captain America on a Disney Plus show, and that affects the next Captain America movie because he's going to be playing the Sam Wilson as Captain America. And then you got this bit where Sylvie is talking with Loki, and he's trying to tell her about that moment on Litmus, I think it was. And then bam, he gets burned. So you're like, holy crap. But you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, what about that commercial where, all the previews, there's a bit where he's in that, like, torn up suit. Maybe it's a different Loki, maybe, I don't know, it just seems odd that we've got 2 episodes left and they just pruned Loki. Then we finally get our first mid-credit scene, and it is absolutely perfect. Because that first mid-credit scene shows us Loki waking up, and he's like, am I dead? And then you get to see all these other Lokis, and they're like, no, but you will be if you don't come with us. And there's a kid Loki. There's this one dude looks like he's holding a version of Mjolnir. I'm not really up on a lot of the Loki variants from the comic. I will admit that. And then of course there's old man Loki, which has like the classic comic outfit. So a lot of people were really excited about that. And then there is this cute guy, the alligator Loki, or Croaky, as I've seen him referred to. I'm assuming that's his comic name. And he is and he's just kind of there. So the next episode, it opens up, they explain this is where everything goes. Time ends apparently at that point, and Rinslayer explains that they don't really have the ability to destroy all the extra stuff that comes with pruning. So they send it to the end of time, and there's this like big beast there named Goliath, who does also have connections in the comics. Once again, that connects to stories with Kang, protecting it, protecting the end of time, or what's beyond the end of time. So presumably, whatever's beyond Goliath is the creator of the TVA. We get bits of Rinslayer, who seems like she wants to find out who's running the TVA, but we're really not sure. Does she? Or does she already know and she just doesn't know how to get to him and warn him? Again, we're not sure really what her motivations are, because this is the MCU. It could be completely removed from the comic book. Or it could be right in line with the comics. And we don't know until it happens which one exactly they're going to go for. So you've got you've got a situation where Sylvie prunes herself so she can go back. She finds that Loki's alive. We find that Mobius is alive, which is great, but they're still running from Goliath. At one point, Sylvie touches Goliath, and she gets this vision of this castle, which we get a better glimpse of at the end of the episode. After they end up enchanting Goliath, and you get to see this great castle, very, very Doom feel to it, though. But at the same time, I don't think they're going to bring in Doom when so much is trying to point to Kang. And again, I see a lot of theories online talking about, they're not going to do Kang. They're not going to introduce the big bad in it. And I'm thinking, bullcrap. They could, they might. And just because, and some people have said, but the show is called Loki. It's about Loki. It's about him chasing a Loki. He sees more Lokis. It makes sense that the timekeepers were Loki, and that whoever that is at the end of time who created those fake timekeeper robots, that should be Loki. Okay, but that also doesn't mean that it can't also be Kang. Again, this is the MCU. Several possibilities are here. Either we're going to meet a Loki that Kang has put in power, but Kang is essentially pulling the strings so that he can ensure his own existence, so that we might get a name drop but not actually see him, or even bigger MCU twist. What if MCU Kang is a Loki variant? What if he is the Loki Supreme? Um, so that's just kind of where I am with that theory in mind. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if we found out that MCU Goliath was just another Loki variant. I mean, at this point, like Owen Wilson said in one scene after they run into a few other Lokis, or you toss a rock and you hit a Loki here. So it's kind of neat um, that but they're showing that. But aside from the ending of the episode, which was absolutely awesome, and it made me just yell in rage because I got to wait a whole week to see what's on the other side of time, of the end of time here. You get an interesting introspective in both these episodes, especially when Loki gets to see all the other versions of Loki, and he sees that there's just this whole army. There's like President Loki, and he's got this army that betrays him. Everyone keeps betraying everybody. One of the guys they thought was safe in their hideout actually betrayed their location so that he could rule. So there were very few actual good Lokis, and every time a Loki, every Loki seemed to have one thing in common. Every Loki that was pruned seemed to have one thing in common. They were trying to better themselves. Old man Loki just sat out of the timeline for the longest after Ragnarok. That was probably one of my favorite stories of the Nexus events. Was he just was done, floated around, wasn't affecting the timeline, so no one noticed him. He lands on a planet, sits around for many, many years, and decides to leave because he's lonely and he misses his brother. You know, and the second he starts making plans to leave that planet, the timeline gets disrupted and the TVA comes in. So he was actually going to try to be a better Loki. And he got pruned for it because Loki's not meant to be a good character. And Loki's looking at this, and you can tell he hates it about himself. He's finally forced to look at his worst parts of himself, and he doesn't like what he sees. Now, it's like, are we gonna get a better Loki because of that? Is he gonna change his ways? Can he change his ways at this point? We don't know. But if he ever wants to have a chance to change his ways, he's got to take down the TVA. He's got to take down whoever's running the grand the divine timeline, the sacred timeline. He's got to take them down so that if he's ever even going to have a chance to be better. And so I'm excited for part 6 as much as I'm sure everybody else is. I can't wait to see where they go with this. I cannot wait to see, where Loki's going to take his life after this. Are we going to get more Sylvie? Is she going to sacrifice herself? Is Owen Wilson's Mobius going to be able to burn the TVA to the ground as he said he was going to? What's Rinslayer's real motivation? Where do her loyalties lie? So many questions. I just don't see that they're going to finish him up in an hour or less. So I'm really hoping this next episode either leads into a film and gets spilled over into either Multiverse of Madness or Quantum Mania, or both. Or I hope this next episode is a little bit longer in order to give us all a satisfactory end. So far, WandaVision gave us a very satisfactory end. It was a very good battle. A lot of stuff got cut that we wish hadn't, but they did what they could with what they had, and with the pandemic messing with filming, I get that. And Falcon Winter Soldier also had a very great finale. I felt that everyone got their proper endings there. So I'm looking at Loki here like, All right, we've had a really good build-up. I haven't been bored with an episode yet, so let's hope that this next episode, comes a lot, with a lot. Let's just hope we get everything we need to get from it. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do today, guys. I hope you enjoyed my alligator Loki. Um, if you guys have any questions, comments, maybe you want to suggest something that I need to um, do some art on and geek out about, be sure to leave them in the comments. And if anyone would be interested in, maybe if you'd be interested in maybe like purchasing some like printed art from some of the episodes, probably not a lot of the copyrighted characters, obviously. I'm not about to dive into that. But every now and then I do make something, that is my own art. So, we could look into maybe that. Leave a comment, if you're interested. All right, so I'm going to leave y'all with that. Let's hope next week I have nothing but good things to say about the finale, because I would definitely be revisiting Loki for a third time. This is going to be like a huge thing, because I've never just stayed on a topic. I mean, I know I say I never. This is like, what, episode 6, episode 7, something like that. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Have a very nice week. I will see y'all again next Saturday.